Hi everyone, welcome to an original video about contraception from its creation to its issues nowadays. Why this topic? Because we wanted a subject that we didn't really know, but that still tickles our curiosity. Let's set the scene. In November, Donald Trump, the now President of the United States, wanted to give the right to all 50 states to decide whether or not abortion is legal, which could be reducing women's rights.
My view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state. At the end of the day, this is all about the will of the people.
In answer, some US women began to stock contraceptive pills to anticipate the problem. So, what are the medical impacts of it? And why this is a political and social topic today, not only in the US? To understand all those challenges, we begin with the history of contraception with Clément.
Contraception has always been more than just a method. It has been a mirror of society, power, and progress. It refers to the intentional prevention of pregnancy through various methods, devices, medications, or behaviors. It allows individuals or couples to control if and when they want to conceive. In simple terms, contraception is the practice of preventing pregnancy, and we can see through history that it's not just a thing from the modern era.
In ancient civilizations, birth control was already a concern. In Egypt, records from around AD 50 before Christ era describe vaginal suppositories made from honey, acacia, and even animal dung, used to block or alter sperm. In Greece and Rome, women used herbal methods like silphium, a plant so valued for its contraceptive effects that it was harvested to extinction. Other plants like pomegranates, pennyroyal, and rue were also used, though their safety and efficacy were poorly understood. During the Middle Ages in Europe, contraceptive knowledge was largely suppressed. The Christian Church promoted procreation within marriage, and many contraceptive practices were considered sinful or even criminal. Despite that, people continued to use folk remedies and methods in secret. Control over fertility was still a pressing need, but it became taboo to speak about it openly. By the 19th century, scientific and industrial advances made contraceptives more widely available. Condoms, now made from rubber thanks to the invention of vulcanization, became accessible to more people. But in countries like the United States, contraception was still considered immoral. The 1873 Comstock Act made it illegal to distribute any obscene materials, including information about birth control. These laws silenced open conversation and delayed medical progress. Everything changed in the mid-20th century. In 1960, the Food and Drug Administration approved the first oral contraceptive pill.
This method is the safest method devised to this date.
It's probably the most revolutionary development of the 20th century.
For the first time, women could reliably control their fertility with a discreet and effective method. These had profound consequences. It played a crucial role in women's liberation movements, opened new paths in education and work, and helped shift cultural ideas around sexuality, marriage, and independence. Today, contraceptive methods are diverse and increasingly tailored to individual needs. Pills, IUDs, implants, patches, condoms, sterilization, and natural tracking methods. There are also conversations around male contraception, equity in reproductive responsibility, and the need for accessible, affordable healthcare worldwide.
While the creation of contraceptive methods laid the foundations, it was public health crisis that helped to push contraception into the spotlight, transforming it from a private choice to a public priority.
The development of contraception methods, particularly through political advertising, was strongly influenced by the campaigns against AIDS.
In the 80s, in the face of the HIV epidemic, governments and international organizations became aware of the urgent need for prevention.
The sense of urgency about HIV going down, attention to the epidemic going down, so all the arrows moving in the wrong direction We'd like to see those moving in the other direction, and that's a problem, and that's a challenge, and that's the complacency challenge.
Campaigns then played a key role not only in the fight against AIDS, but also in promoting various contraceptive methods, contributing to a broader social acceptance of contraception. Awareness campaigns for HIV prevention initially focused on the condom as a primary tool for protecting against the virus.
AIDS. Don't experiment with sex. If you do, use a condom, or being the life of the party could be the death of you.
However, over time, this initiative expanded their message to include other contraceptive methods such as the pill, IUDs, hormonal implants, emergency contraception. Government, in partnership with international organizations like the WHO and the United Nations, began funding sexuality and contraception education programs. The goal was to reach a wide population, particularly young adults and the at-risk group. The messages of advertising campaigns quickly evolved. While the condom remained at the heart of HIV prevention campaigns, other contraceptive methods were highlighted to raise awareness about the risk of unwanted pregnancies and sexually transmitted infections. Slogans like "Plan your family," "Contraception is a right," and "Protect yourself to protect them" were widely spread through television, radio, and public posters. Famous campaigns include initiatives like Condomized by the UNFPA, which not only encouraged condom use but also conveyed messages about the importance of contraception in general. In the US and Europe, advertisements highlight not only HIV prevention but also an access to a wider range of contraceptives, allowing individuals to choose the method that best suits them. These campaigns helped break social taboos and fostered a greater acceptance of contraception within the population. However, these campaigns faced several challenges in some societies. Cultural and religious resistances made it difficult to accept certain contraceptive methods, especially those perceived as unnatural or non-traditional. Furthermore, in some countries, access to certain methods like the pill or implants remains limited by economic and logistical barriers. Despite these challenges, the impact of the campaign has been significant. Contraceptive use increased in many countries, and HIV infection rates and unwanted pregnancy have decreased in regions where campaigns were most effective. Today, contraception is widely regarded as a cornerstone of public health, and the lessons learned from the fight against AIDS continue to lead the promotion of sexual health worldwide.
Thanks to political and advertising campaigns, contraception such as condom, pills, IUDs, or other methods is now seen as a big part of public health.
Thank you, Sasha. And now let's talk about the health impacts that contraception can have. Let's start with hormonal contraception and contraceptive implant for women. Even if it's considered as the best contraceptive, it can cause health changes like headache, gain of weight, or irregular menstruations. Other contraception way exist, of course, like the contraceptive ring for women too.
Although it is an excellent form of birth control and one of my favorites, there are some side effects that you need to be mindful of. You may experience some irregular bleeding. You may experience some headaches, and you may experience some nausea. The NuvaRing does have a slight increased risk in blood clot formation, just like other forms of birth control, like the pill and the patch. The signs of blood clot formation that you need to be mindful of are severe headaches, chest pain, shortness of breath, leg pain and leg swelling, and abdominal pain.
Now let's talk about barrier methods. And to begin, we have the cervical cap for women, with the risk of allergic reactions and vaginal irritation. There is also the most famous barrier contraceptive, the condom. It can also cause skin irritation and allergic reaction, especially because of the latex used for the majority of the condom created, something like 80%. There are condoms for men and women, but the most common and most used is the one for men. Contraceptive gel also exists, but it can burn in the genital and vaginal area. It can also cause yeast infections and urinary tract infections. Even if we just saw the bad aspects of the contraception, of course it also have a lot of nice points. Beyond pregnancy, contraception can prevent the transmission of diseases such as HIV, genital herpes, hepatitis B, or syphilis. These diseases can be very dangerous. HIV is a very clear example because of the amount of people dead because of this disease. More than 600,000 people just died because of it in 2022.
Now, let's talk about social and political challenges facing contraception.
As explained in the introduction, Trump wants to give each of the 50 states the right to decide whether or not abortion is legal. As a result, women rushed to the stores to stock up on as much contraception as possible. Indeed, in his Project 2025 program, Trump wanted to do away with the sale of pills. The next day of his election, 10,000 boxes of pills were ordered from Aid Access, one of the most important providers of the world based in Europe. It's 70 times more than the average. The US don't have great industry like this, so the population is entirely dependent of the Trump's importation wishes. Now, everyone is aware of the medical impacts that contraception can have on our health. Furthermore, it's a very important woman's right to use it in order to avoid the use of abortion. But this problem is not only perceived in the US. Far-right governments like in Hungary, the Netherlands, or in Austria try to reduce the access to contraception too. In some low development countries, access to contraception is much more difficult due to traditional cultures and poverty. For example, only 20% of African women use ways of contraception, a small percentage compared to the almost 60% of women that use those methods in developed countries like the USA, England, or even Australia.
To conclude, contraception have a long and great history. This is a topic that men and women follow attentively to protect them. Although the medical challenges are recognized worldwide, accessibility and freedom are still questioned or non-existent in some parts of the world. If contraception stays right, it must be protected. Now, we wish that you know better about the history of contraception and these issues nowadays. Thank you for watching and see you next time.